Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Mike here. Today, we're going to have our Health Essential number 5 workshop, and this is our talk on working out to increase oxygen in the body. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be going over what's called our Max T3 video. You guys have either have a video or you have I gave you a link so you can access all this information online and actually follow through the classes. But the whole key to this is increasing the oxygen into our body, because as we know, oxygenated cells are very healthy. When we get deoxygenated cells or an anaerobic body, basically that's when disease processes thrive. So we want to oxygenate everything. We're going to show you how we do that, and we're going to show you how you can get in the best shape of your life in only 12 minutes a day. Okay, so let's get started off. This cracks me up. You know, everybody's going to the gym, but man, I surely don't want to walk the stairs to go and work out. I'm going to make sure I take the escalator. So this is kind of the American way to go to to exercise, right? Let's put out minimal effort, it seems. Before we get going here, let's go over a little bit about what's happened to our health in the last 30 years. You know, obesity in children has doubled, and obesity in adolescents has tripled. We have skyrocketing rates of heart disease, diabetes, cancer, record levels of arthritis and joint damage and surgeries. Women are having epidemic levels of hormone disruptions and problems. We have 8 million people on psychotropic drugs. Allergies have gotten worse and worse. So, you know, we're going the wrong way. And one of the things that we can do is really get into a good exercise program to help us with this. Now, according to Pentagon figures, roughly 35% of all Americans are unqualified for military service because of their poor physical shape. Okay, again, 65% of American adults are overweight. We have up to 35% are considered obese, so we have a huge problem. Let's go over some fitness facts. You know, regular physical activity and fitness and exercise are really important for the health and well-being of people of all ages. Millions of Americans are suffering from chronic illnesses that can be prevented or improved through regular physical fitness and exercise. So we need to know a little bit about this law of adaptation. So your body will adapt proportionately to any demand you place on it. Okay, so when we exercise, you produce more muscles. When you don't, you produce more fat. More muscle equals more oxygen to the tissues. So our muscles, our power plant, the more muscle mass we have, the more oxygenation we get to all of our cells and tissues. So we want to develop muscle mass. Okay, that's critical for true health and fitness. What is fitness? People they get a little bit confused about that. So here's a couple definitions from answers.com. Fitness says physical fitness is commonly defined as the capacity to carry out a day's activities, pursue recreational activities, and have the physical capability to handle emergency situations. So that's one way of viewing fitness. How we're viewing fitness when we talk about fitness here in our class and in our office is this is from dictionary.com. And basically it says fitness is the capability of the body of distributing inhaled oxygen to muscle tissue during increased physical effort. So again, this is all about getting increased oxygenation to our cells. Okay, that's what we want to do for not only losing weight and feeling better, but also for overall health and making our bodies a horrible environment for disease processes to thrive. Okay, anybody know who this guy is here? He's a guy from Wyoming, our home state. This is Rulon Gardner. He's from a little place called Star Valley, Wyoming. And if anybody knows, remember he won the gold medal against this gentleman over here. His name was Alexander Karelin, and he had won, like, he was undefeated in international wrestling for, like, I don't know how, it was over 10 years. You know, nobody could beat him. He was invincible. And our little guy from Wyoming, actually, I know Rulon a little bit, not friends or anything, but we played on the same football team. We went to New Zealand together out of high school. Really nice guy. But what's amazing about him is I remember I watched this match, and the announcers kept on talking about how physically fit Rulon was. Just he was the fittest person in the competition. He was so fit. They just kept pounding that over and over and over. Well, as you know, he beat the unbeatable person, Alexander Karelin, the first time to beat this guy. In fact, he retired after that loss. And it was the probably behind the United States winning gold in the 1980 Olympics. This is the most unbelievable upset of all time. It's, well, for sure in the wrestling community, but in the Olympics, period. But the interesting thing is, if you look at these two pictures, who do you think looks fitter, right? I mean, we have Rulon here, and he's kind of pudgy. He's got a gut, right? And we have this guy who looks like a he-man. There's not an ounce of fat on him. But again, fitness isn't your body fat per se. It's how much oxygen you can get to your cells and your tissues, okay? So fitness level and mortality. What do the studies show? Fitness was a significant mortality predictor in older adults, independent of overall body fat. That's from the Journal of the American Medical Association. So again, we're not talking, the Journal of the American Medical Association, when they're talking fitness, we're not talking about body fat. We're talking about fitness, meaning can your body get oxygenation to your cells and tissues? And the less fit you are, the less you can do that, the higher incidence of mortality or death from different disease processes. So let's look at that. If we look here, the further up we go is our death risk, right? And then across this bottom axis is our percent body fat. So if we look here, everybody in red, they're fit. What does that mean? That means they get a lot of oxygen to their cells. The people that are unfit are the people that do not get oxygen to their cells. So the only thing I want you to understand in this graph is this, is if we look here, these people that are greater than 25% body fat, the unfit people, look at their incidence of death rate. Very, very high, right? And then if we look here, even if somebody's fit, they have a whole bunch of body fat, right? But if somebody is skinny and they still can't get oxygen, who has the higher death risk? The person who's skinny or the person who maybe has a little bit more body fat, but they can get oxygen to their cells? It's this person that's skinny that can't get oxygen. It's not the person that's has a little bit more body fat. Now, obviously, we all like to get as much body fat off as possible, but some people are a little bit predisposed. They got a little bit more. But so we're not talking about how much fat you have. It's about trying to get oxygenation to your cells. That's what this workout's all about. Now, great side effect about doing this is, guess what happens to body fat? It goes down as well. So let's get going. They did exercise. They did some research from the British Journal of Sports Medicine on exercise and depression. And what they found was that just walking for 30 minutes a day improved a patient's symptoms faster than doing an antidepressant drug. Why do I put this out here? Well, we have a huge problem today with using medications to treat symptoms, So we know that these antidepressants and medications, they're class 4 narcotics, and they alter brain chemistry. I mean, they're absolutely horrible. And research after research after study shows that exercising works better than all these medications. So why are we altering brain chemistry when we can just start doing some lifestyle changes and get better results? Okay. You're never too old to exercise. They did a study, this was done by this Human Nutrition Research Center on Aging, and they took these 90-year-old nursing homes people, and they did an 8-week high-intensity training program. And what they found was the people that went through that, they experienced an average gain in strength of 174% over those 2 months. Okay, their thigh muscles increased in size by 9%, and their walking speed increased by 48%. So, imagine what that does to somebody's lifestyle, and imagine how fast your body heals and repairs if you give it the opportunity and you start doing some of this stuff. These people were 90. Imagine the gains you're going to get. So Exercise makes you smarter, at least for these rats, right? Science Daily, they took all these, they found that they did put these rats on, and they let some just sit around and lay around. They put the other ones on little wheels. I don't know how they made them run, but they made them run around and exercise. And what they found was, the sedentary mice, their brains grew 2.5 times less nerve cells than the ones that were exercising. So it really does stimulate nerve system function, nerve system growth as well. Now, I like to go over different lies we like to tell ourselves, okay? People get into the bad habit of lying to themselves. It's what we call limiting beliefs. One of these limiting beliefs is, you know what, I can't exercise, exercise hurts. But the truth is, exercise reduces pain and arthritis. It's been shown over and over and over. Listen, I have a lot of old sports injuries in my knees and ankles, and I go exercise, and it can bother me, and it can hurt. But I know when I'm not exercising, not only do I get some of the pains when I try to exercise, but even just walking upstairs bothers me. When I'm exercising, and I get into a regular rhythm of doing that pretty religiously, I feel so much better, and I don't have as much arthritic pain. Okay, so exercise may hurt a little bit, but it's temporary. Another lie we tell ourselves is that I just don't have time to exercise. This is I've talked in my other classes that this is the big one that I always battle with. And the fact of the matter is that we can get into amazing shape in only 12 minutes a day. And when we are regularly exercising, you have so much more energy. You get twice as much done. So the truth is, if I take the time to exercise my 12 minutes, it actually saves me time because I'm going to get so much more done that day because of my energy levels. And last but not least, if this is going to come up for us, hold on, there we go. Hey, I can't afford a gym membership. I'm too poor. Well, you know what? The fact of the matter is, you can do everything on this training video. If you buy yourself some little bands and an exercise ball, if you have some exercise bands and exercise ball, it's not a big investment, and you can do absolutely everything on the Max T3 workouts that we gave you. So let's get into this metabolic conditioning. We also call this surge training. This is what we do in the Max T3 stuff. There's also things like HIIT training, goes along those same principles, high intensity interval training. So those are a lot of different words for the same sort of fitness routine. But first, let's go over cardiovascular exercise, the bad part about cardiovascular exercise. Cardiovascular exercise is doing low intensity, long duration. Okay, this is what we've been told by everybody is how you lose fat. Okay, all the old research back in the 60s and 70s, and everybody's still using it, is that if you work out at 50 to 60% of your maximum heart rate for 45 minutes, you'll burn fat. That's true, but it's not the whole truth. Okay, and we're going to dispel that myth here. So let's talk about that type of exercise. Basically, jogging, getting on a bike, and doing all this stuff that you think you're doing to decrease body fat and get in shape. But let's see what that type of exercise does. That type of cardio, that low intensity, long duration cardiovascular exercise, it raises the stress hormone cortisol, okay, which affects your metabolic system, your endorphins, norepinephrine. It plays a role in ADHD, depression, hypertension, okay? So it raises the stress hormone cortisol. We'll go over more about that later. So that's the biggest issue that we don't like to see. Cortisol stimulates your appetite, so it makes you hungrier. You're doing this exercise to lose weight a lot of times. It has catabolic properties. Catabolic means when your cortisol raises, your body starts to eat itself. It starts to eat protein, which is your muscle mass, which we need to increase our oxygen. So it starts to eat protein for energy, okay, not fat. And it actually increases fat storage. So you're doing this stuff to lose weight, but it increases, you lose fat for that 45 minutes you're exercising, but as soon as you get done, the cortisol rises, which then makes your body increase fat storage. So it's like you're doing the seesaw battle over and over and over. So there's really some bad issues with this type of exercise. It also decreases testosterone and growth hormone, causes irregular menstrual cycles in women, and it increases the likelihood of infectious diseases. Now, there's a lot of bad stuff we just went over with that with cardiovascular exercise. However, look down here. Any exercise is better than no exercise, okay? If you're going to make the decision that, you know what, I just like to exercise this way, and that's what I'm going to do, you're still doing some good, because although that type of exercise increases your risk with all this, the increased risk of sitting on your couch is this plus more, okay? So you have sitting on the couch, you have cardiovascular exercise, and then you have surge training. So this is the best on this side. This is a little bit better, but there's some problems with it, and this is the worst. Okay, so first of all, get off your couch. Now, let's go over this effects of cortisol in the body, because that's what long duration, low intensity exercise does. What does cortisol do, excess cortisol do? Well, it decreases your metabolism. It slows down your metabolism. When your metabolism goes down, your body's not consuming as many calories, which means it's easier to gain what? Weight. It decreases your immune system. So when it decreases your immune system, you start getting what? Colds and flus and this and that more often. And when we get colds and flus, what do? We run to the doctor and we take what? Here's a medication for your cold. Increases arthritic pain, right? So it increases arthritis. Oh, someone's calling me. I got to turn off my phone. Increases hunger. Well, that's a problem. Hostility, gets you angry, causes acid reflux disease in the body. So if anybody's suffering from that, guess what? It may be because we're not exercising enough, not that you're not taking the right medications. Tunnel vision problems, migraines. Increased cortisol can cause migraines. So again, most people are just shoving pills in their mouth. Migraines can be caused by increased cortisol. It can be caused by subluxations in your neck. It can be caused by a host of different things. Causes sleep deprivation. You can't fall asleep. You're having sleep problems. So chronic fatigue. You're tired all the time. Hypertension. How many people have hypertension out there taking all these blood pressure medication? Well, maybe because they have a increased excess of cortisol in their body. Or depression. Again, they start taking these psychotropic drugs, which are just really, really bad. So as we can tell, we don't want to increase cortisol. So we don't want to do that type of training. Metabolic conditioning. Let me explain this. Metabolic conditioning is conditioning exercises that elicit a specific hormonal response and energy production response. And it's designed to improve the capability of your body to efficiently and effectively deliver and drive more oxygen to your tissues. Okay, so it is characterized by short surges of high intensity, short duration exercises. So we want to exercise not at 50 to 70% of our maximum heart rate. We want to do 90 to 100% of maximal heart rate, basically as hard as we can for a short period of time. So we exercise as hard as we can for a short duration, and then we rest. As hard as we can for a short duration, and then we rest. Instead of exercising at a low level for a very long duration. You understand? Now again, it only takes 12 minutes a day. So my question to you is, hey, what fits your busy schedule best, right? Exercising 12 minutes a day or being dead 24 hours a day? Think about that. Let's look at some research here. Okay, fat loss with high intensity exercise. People who went through this research, they found that people who did high intensity short duration exercise, they lost more fat when they did that high intensity compared to the rats that did low intensity long duration, and they did this equivalent amount of work. So work equals, if you look down here, work equals force times distance. So shorter distance, higher intensity gets the same amount of work as a longer distance and longer distance and lighter intensity. Okay, but the work can be the same. So there's a greater amount of fat loss after high intensity as compared to the low intensity. Okay, and there's a positive relationship between carbohydrate expenditure during exercise and fat expenditure during recovery. Okay, so basically, there's a lot of times people are like wondering, why can't I lose weight? Well, if we look at this research done, basically what they found was there was a significant loss in body fat in the group that did 80 to 90% of their maximal heart rate. There was no significant change in body fat with people that were doing 60 to 70% or the low intensity. So, and again, no significant workload was changed. And the reason is, if we just look at that research we went before, as we're doing exercise, we use the majority of energy that we're using is carbohydrate, your sugars and things like that. It's during your recovery that your body goes into fat loss mode for the most part. Okay. So metabolic syndrome, I want to talk about that. Metabolic syndrome that's just a name for a whole bunch of risk factors that raise your risk for stroke and other health problems, such as diabetes, stroke, heart disease. Now, those metabolic risk factors are things like having a large waistline, having a high triglyceride level, or if you're on high triglyceride medications, if you're a low HDL level, or if you're on medications for that, high blood pressure or on medications, high fasting blood sugar or on medications. So these are risk factors that indicate that you have what's called metabolic syndrome. Now, why is that important? Is because if you have those metabolic syndrome risk factors, that means you have a way higher risk of heart disease, cancer, and all these other disease processes. So if we look here, we really need to rethink our daily exercise routine, because again, we look at this journal that came out, said high intensity exercises reverses most of the risk factors associated with metabolic syndrome. So if it's high intensity exercises are reversing those risk factors, and those risk factors show to increase your risk for all the disease processes, that means high intensity exercises therefore decrease your what? Risk for the diseases. Okay, so but they took these people, and after 16 weeks of a high intensity exercise program, almost half of the patients enrolled in the trial no longer have metabolic syndrome. And they did, look at this, without making changes to their diets. So even eating the same garbage food, doing this exercise, reduce their metabolic syndrome risk factors. Okay, so who would you rather look like? Okay, now what I want people to understand from this, if we look here, this guy's in the Olympics. He's a long distance runner. Okay, this guy here, he's North Carolina Central. All right, that's a college kid. It's not even Division I. Now, if we look at these guys, how they train, this long distance guy, what do you think he does? He gets on the road and he runs for hours upon hours upon hours. Okay, how does this guy train? He gets in the starting blocks, he sprints as fast as he can for 20 seconds, and then he's done. He stops, and he does that repetitively over and over. Okay, now look at the muscle mass on him compared to the muscle mass on him. Who do you think has catabolic properties? Who do you think's body is building muscle mass, and whose body do you think is eating muscle mass? Whose body do you think gets more oxygenation to their cells? The one with the bigger muscle mass that we just went through, or the one with the least muscle mass? Okay, so again, we want that power plant to be able to deliver oxygen to our cells, because this person, the more oxygenation we have, the less risk factors for disease processes than this person. Okay. Results of metabolic conditioning. It increases growth hormone and testosterone. Now, sometimes women hear this and they go, oh no, I don't want testosterone. Trust me. We all have, whether we're male or female, we all have different levels of testosterone and estrogen. We need to have those at the right amounts. And the majority of women, okay, do not have enough testosterone in their body. So we need increased growth hormone and testosterone. Metabolic conditioning also causes fat to be continuously burned 36 hours after the exercise. So this is what we were talking about a little bit later. When you do that low intensity, long duration exercise, the research shows that if you run on a treadmill for an hour, okay, about 45 minutes of that hour at a 60 to 70% maximum heart rate, you will burn fat. That's fine. But again, the law of adaptation, as soon as you stop, and we didn't really work really hard, as soon as you stop, your fat burning stops right then. So you burn fat for that 45 minutes of that hour-long exercise. Now, metabolic conditioning, when you do high intensity, short duration, so if you do these 12-minute workouts as hard as you can, right? You're using sugars and carbohydrate expenditure while you're doing it for that 12 minutes. But once you're done, at that point in time, your body goes into repair mode. And so it increases your metabolism, and it's on the recovery phase that your body starts to burn fat. So you do a 12-minute exercise routine, and your body burns fat for the next 36 hours afterwards. I don't know about you, but I'd much rather put in a hard 12 minutes of work than an hour so I could get 36 hours of fat burning rather than 45 minutes. I hope that makes sense. It also causes muscle building, not wasting. We just went over that in the previous slide. And increased sensitivity to insulin. So it combats insulin resistance. Okay? So let me ask you a question. Is this you? This explains insulin resistance, okay? So basically, people that have fatigue, constant hunger, inability to lose weight, cravings for sugars, fatigue after meals, migrating aches and pains, upper abdominal obesity, all this kind of stuff causes insulin resistance. Once you get that insulin resistance, that creates a hormonal imbalance, which can then translate over to polycystic ovarian syndrome, acne, facial hair, infertility. So if anybody's suffering from any of this stuff, they have acne, they're taking meds, they're putting stuff on their face, it can cause a hormonal imbalance where you get estrogen dominance, okay? Usually, why? Because your testosterone levels are going what? Too low, which can cause a low thyroid. How many women are having thyroid issues, right? And they're taking all these hypothyroid medications. And when you get a low thyroid, then you get increased fat storage, right? And then the whole cycle feeds over. It's called a positive feedback loop. So again, we have all these issues and we take all these medications for it, but why don't we start getting the function of our body right? So our body can function how it's designed to. And then these things get better and go away. Incorporating surge training, you can do surge training with whatever exercise you like. You can do it with cycling or sprinting, climbing stairs up and down in your house, doing an elliptical, whole body movement, squat, thrust, things of that nature. Anything that raises your heart rate to that 90 to 100% level. Okay, so you can do it with any type of exercise. All right. But there's other elements of fitness, okay? So metabolic conditioning, if we want to include power and strength, endurance, flexibility, your core, we want to do coordination, balance over here, and what else do we have? Agility. So we have all of these things all the way around here, and we can incorporate them with our metabolic conditioning to get overall better fitness with our body. This Max T3 system, this is what I love giving my patients this because it gives them a great way to hit all body parts and all the different muscle groups, and it gives you flexibility and endurance and balance and all that. Now, Max T3, basically the max means we want maximum effort. T3 means these are the three things that we change, the three T's we change to make sure we're doing maximum effort, okay? So the three things we can change is time, how long we're doing the exercise. So some people start off at a 20-second surge. If that's not getting you to your maximum heart rate, then do a 30-second surge. If that's not getting it, do a 40-second surge. So you can change the time to get maximum output. The other thing you can change is the type of exercise, okay? So basically you can do regular push-ups for somebody, or if that's not getting it done, then have somebody sit on your back, or if that's too hard, then you can do push-ups from your knees. But what type of exercise are you doing? We need to change the type of exercise to make sure we're getting maximum effort. And the last thing is tempo, how fast we're doing it. So maybe you're doing things at 20 seconds and that's not getting you the maximum effort. So maybe you do it faster during those 20 seconds. So we can change these three T's to make sure we get our maximum output and try to get our heart rate up to that level. Okay. Next slide here. It's going a little bit slow. Already went over that. So these are just still shots, okay? And we sent you a PDF of this. You can print it all out. And I went over that in my other video on, it shows you what each one of these people are doing. So this is always the advanced person. This is the intermediate person in red. And this is our beginning person, okay? So basically how we do a surge training is this. These people are just doing squats, right? So they're doing a leg workout. So beginners will start with doing 20 seconds as hard as they can on, and then 20 seconds off, 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off, and then so they'll do 3 sets, and then they'll go to the next exercise. So basically these people will, in 20 seconds, they'll start squatting as hard as they can, as hard as they can, up and down, up and down, up and down, as hard as they can for 20 seconds, and then they'll rest for 20 seconds. Do it again for 20 seconds, rest for 20 seconds. Do it again for 20 seconds, rest for 20 seconds, and then they'll do their lunges for 20 seconds, rest, lunges, rest, lunges, and then come down and do their next exercise. So each one of these exercises, 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off, 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off, 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off, then the rest, that equals 2 minutes. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 minutes worth of exercise. Total time. The actual amount of exercise is only 6 minutes, you guys. So anybody can do something for 6 minutes. You know, they're 20-second intervals. You just keep your mind and you go, I just got to get through this 20 seconds. And you keep doing that each time. But I'll tell you what, I'd much rather work out for 6 minutes and get 36 minutes of metabolic conditioning and utilization of fat in my body and oxygenation to my cells to decrease all of my metabolic syndrome and decrease my risk for heart disease, cancer, stroke, and all that stuff. So again, that surge training video that we gave you, you got to watch that. I went over what you need to do, but it has, you know, Max T3 has upper body, lower body, surge, core, you know, and they have a whole bunch of different exercise routines. Now, some people, you know, like the soccer player, they need that conditioning as well. So maybe they train and they, or some people just like, you know, hey, I love long distance running because that just clears my mind. Okay, great. Wonderful. Do your long distance running, but maybe incorporate at the end a surge routine. And watch how much better your long distance running gets when you're kind of building a little bit more muscle mass and you get even more oxygen to your cells and tissues. So incorporate some of this stuff with it. The reason I really like this too is, you know, like this gentleman here, they're doing squats. This guy has weights in his hands. You can't really tell, but this is our advanced person. So he's doing the same squat, but he has weight. So more weight means more what? Effort. This guy's our intermediate. He's doing the same squat, but he has no weights in his hand. And then this person over here in the gray, this is our beginner. So this person is just doing a half squat. They're not going down as far. So we can change the type of exercise depending on our fitness level and what we can handle. Listen, you're not competing against anybody else. It's just whatever your maximum is, okay? So I have people who do like push-ups, and they would maybe one person do regular push-ups, the next person would do push-ups on their knees, and somebody else would do push-ups against a wall. So it just depends on how much muscle mass you have and where you're starting out at. So don't worry about what other people are doing. Let's go to this next slide here. This is, computer's running a little slow. Don't sabotage your workout, guys, okay? Post-workout nutrition, no carbs or sugar for at least 2 hours after exercise. Consuming a snack, drink, or a meal high in sugar will negate the positive effects of that human growth hormone and increase insulin sensitivity. So you'll get no fat burning. So make sure, again, that's from the Journal of Applied Physiology. Make sure for 2 hours afterwards, I mean, you go over to, they have the nutrition, the place that I go and work out, they have all of these healthy shakes. They're not healthy. They're full of sugars and toxins, and you get done there and you work your butt off and you do a high intensity surge training, and then you go over there and you grab that delicious shake full of sugar and toxins, and you just negated all that effort, and you sabotaged yourself. So 2 hours afterwards, don't do that. If you want a shake, we have those protein smoothies in our office. You want to make sure that there's no sugars in it. It's from grass-fed cows. Any of the whey proteins. There's not a lot of areas that sell that, but we have some in our office. You can buy it there. I have seen a couple people. They're starting to carry some from some grass-fed cows at natural grocers. I think they found it, but you're not going to get anything healthy at GNC, guaranteed. It's all garbage. Okay. The real definition of health. Let's go over this. What is health? Most people say health is when I feel good. Well, there's 3 problems with that, because, when you think you feel good, what do you usually do when you feel bad? You take a medication. And is that a toxin? Does that make us less healthy or more healthy? That diminishes. It may make us feel good, right? It may treat the symptom, but putting a man-made thing into our body actually creates more health problems over time. And if you look down here, all the top deadly diseases have no symptoms while they develop, right? Remember that? They say you have cancer developing for 9 years before you get your first symptom. Okay? So that whole adage of if it ain't broke, don't fix it myth. So if you're treating your health by how you feel, okay, 2 problems is, hey, people feel great and then they have a heart attack. Was their heart healthy the day before their heart attack? No. It probably wasn't healthy a day before or a month before or a year before. It was getting worse and worse and worse. Symptoms are always the last thing to show up and the first thing to leave. So disease processes are going on. By the time we get symptoms, we have a huge problem, right? It's already at the advanced stages. And then on top of that, if we take medications to make us feel good, and then we ignore that underlying problem, then that's going to lead to more sickness and disease. It's definitely not going to lead to more health. Okay. So again, remember, these 5 essentials are critical, right? How real health comes from making sure our body can function as close to 100% as possible. So we want to renew your body, right? Renew your body. And how we do that is we want to renew your mindset, right? First and foremost, everybody wants to be healthy. They just don't know how. So that's why we're doing all these classes and workshops for you, so you can learn this stuff, right? So renew your mindset, get your mind right. We want to make sure we do what? Energize your nerve system. This is the missing ingredient in healthcare. Your brain controls every cell, tissue, and organ in your entire body. Okay, so make sure you're keeping up with all of your chiropractic and you're keeping your nerve system functioning, because I don't care how much you exercise. If you don't have a properly functioning nervous system, your body's not going to be able to heal and repair and function as it should. But if we get our brain connected to the rest of our body, so that controls everything, and then we want to also do what? Make sure we're putting in the right nutritious ingredients so our body has the right ingredients to heal and repair. Okay, then we want to eliminate toxins, get toxins out of our cells, increase proper cellular function, because that's the basic building block of life. And last but not least, we want to increase the oxygenation in our body by working out. So if we do have a disease process in the body, it makes it very difficult for it to thrive. So listen, remember, God doesn't make junk. Your body was designed to be a self-healing, self-regulating organism. And when we do these things to restore normal function in the body, then your body will start healing and repairing and healing and repairing. And then guess what? All these conditions get better and better and better and better. Okay. So just remember that subluxation is so critical. The brain sends messages down the spinal cord. It goes out all these nerves, goes to your heart and your lungs and your intestines. And we need to make sure that those messages go back and forth at 100% level. Because if I cut this nerve to my heart stops. If I put pressure on my nerve and now only 50% of those messages are getting to my heart, I'm going to get abnormal function. That's what subluxation is. That's why we got to keep your nerve system functioning so our body can communicate with all the cells, tissues, and organs. Okay. exercise can get really bad for you if you have really a bunch of subluxations in your body, and then you're compounding and you're bending and you're irritating these things. So keep up with your exercises, keep up with your appointments. Some warning signs and symptoms of subluxation, okay? Headaches, insomnia, neck pain, menstrual problems, dizziness, acid reflux, depression, all of these different things. How many people do you know are suffering from all this stuff? Or maybe you are too. I have some of my patients that come in and they have acid reflux, and then we're doing, all this stuff. And maybe it's because of a subluxation issue. Maybe it's because of a nutrition issue. Maybe it's because all of these things overlap. That's why we treat the body as a whole. And honestly, that's why we get unbelievable results. We work with the laws of nature. That's how we are designed. So it's not because I'm the smartest doctor in the world. It's because I understand if I remove interference, the best healer in your body is your own body. It was designed to heal and function. We just got to get out of the way of that, okay, and reverse the damage that we've already done. Okay, so, oh boy, this slide didn't come up well. Looks like my slides, anyway, we won't worry about that. So remember, we get abnormal nerve function on our body. We get this horrible standard American diet wreaking havoc on our body, causing abnormal function, lack of exercise, toxins. All of this lifestyle stuff creates abnormal function, which then leads to all of these symptoms. What we do in our office, remember, is we're working on all of these through our Renew program. So if we can restore function so we're not bombarding and causing abnormal function, this stuff goes away. The true, people putting medications in here just to alleviate these, it's masking it. You're not going to fix it until you get to the root cause, which is over here. So anybody, obviously, this wasn't done live. It was a recording. So usually when people come and I do these classes live, any guests, they are allowed to come into our office. And they can get checked for any subluxation and go through a workup. And usually this is like $300 if somebody's calling from, whatever, just finds us in the phone book or something. But we figure people are interested in their health, their friends or families, members of our practice members who are friends and family of us. So basically, they are always allowed for 1 week after they've come to the workshop. They can come in, and it's at no charge. We can do any exam and x-rays and look at their health and fitness and see if we may be able to help them with some of their health conditions if this if treating the cause makes sense to you. So obviously this is done as a recording, so you can call our office 637-7055 if this was forwarded to you. And just say, hey, I watched your Max T3 workshop video, and it said that you have a free exam and x-rays to kind of evaluate my health, and we'll get you in here and we'll take a look at you. So so you folks can do that. My patients now, hey, start that surge training, start it now. Don't push it off, because we keep pushing stuff off and then we never get around to it. Okay. Continue following your advanced plan or core plan on your nutrition. Okay. Hopefully we've made that into a good, healthy habit, and that's just how we eat now. If you have any questions, email us at info@realhealthslns.com. That stands for solutions, SLNS. So info@realhealthsolutions.com. And hey, save a life. Forward this to a friend. People need to know the truth about health and healing and how they can help themselves, because the way our society is going, just masking symptoms and not getting to what's causing problems is wreaking havoc. And get that your Max T3 going. Start doing those 12-minute workouts, and you will be amazed at how unbelievably healthy and how much better you feel once you get going on this. Thanks, and we will talk to you later.